Guten Tag. Namaskar. Okay, I guess you can hear me. It looks like that, yes. Then let's start with some prayers. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, we take refuge until we attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may we attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, we take refuge until we attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may we attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Through the merit, in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merit of practicing generosity and the rest, may we attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the sacred happiness devoid of suffering. And may they dwell in boundless equanimity that is free from attachment and aversion. With skillful means and compassion, you were born in the Shakya clan. Unconquerable by others, you vanquished Mara's hordes. Your physical form resplendent like a mountain of gold. To you, the king of the Shakyas, I pay homage. So, welcome everybody. Let's start with a short story because it's Guru Rinpoche Day today. So, this is the best picture I could find. This is Guru Chime Pema Jungne. Guru means, let's say, teacher. Chime means like the deathless one. And Pema Jungne means like lotus born. As you know, Guru Rinpoche, as our mind, can have different manifestations, different qualities, and Guru Rinpoche is manifesting them. Outwardly. But let's tell the story from Mandarava's point of view, because I think there's still too little female masters sort of on the top. So let's focus on Mandarava, because she is playing a crucial part in Guru Chime Pema Jungne being Guru Chime Pema Jungne. So Mandarava, she was of course a consort of Guru Rinpoche, and she was the princess of Zahor. Zahor is like a kingdom, not so far from Deer Park or Deer actually, so she was fed up with samsara and the suffering and confusion. So she really had a strong renunciation, and she then became a nun. So she joined a nunnery. But then at some point she met Guru Rinpoche, and when he was giving teachings, and she was really like following his teachings. But Guru Rinpoche was not so well known at that time. And then when the king of Sahor found out about that, he was perceiving his daughter following some charlatan, or some fake or wannabe guru. So therefore the king was very, very angry and upset, and I think he also threw her, like Mandarava, in into the thorns, and then he created like a big fire to burn Guru Rinpoche alive. But Guru Rinpoche, as we know from many stories of his life, he was always able to transform adverse circumstances. So he was transforming that fire into a lake. And that lake we can still visit, like near Dzongsar Khyentse Deer Park. It is Tsopema, or Revalsa. I'm sure some of you have been there, like Pallavi is nodding. It is like 3 hours taxi drive or so from Dzongsar Khyentse Rinpoche's main seat in India. And so that was, of course, impressive. The king was regretting his actions, and he was allowing Guru Rinpoche to teach the people of that kingdom. And yeah, so they followed then the Dharma. And also the king was feeling so sad that he was then offering Mandarava, his daughter, the princess, to Guru Rinpoche. So, and then they took off to go to Maratika cave. And then they practiced like a long life practice there. They had visions of Buddha Amitabha, the one connected to the Pure Land. And then both of them, they attained like the Vidyadhara level of power over life. And so, and that, there are these 4 Vidyadhara levels according to Longchenpa, and this power over life means, for example, that you can, you are beyond karmic or klesha-ish causes and conditions for your lifespan, but you are really beyond that, and you have full mastery over it. And so hence, then from then onwards, he was called this Guru Chime Pema Jungne, so the immortal or deathless lotus-born guru. So, and that is the day today, and so that's why the story. And yeah, thank you for joining, even though some people like to do some talk practice at this day. But I think trying to dive into Shantideva's wisdom is also not so bad to do on those kind of days. So where are we? And now I prepared a very small outline here just to confuse you. No, not this one. Here. Oh, still not this one. It's coming up. Yes. So this is when we look into chapter 6 of the Bodhicaryavatara, of course. It has 134 verses, so it's quite a big chapter. And I think only chapter 8 and 9 are bigger. And so the first 10 verses are about the side effects, like if you think about medicine or stuff, or things in general, they have disadvantages. So the first verses are about the disadvantages of anger, and therefore one renounces anger, is not so keen to fall into that trap of anger, and and therefore is trying to remove it. And then the second part is cultivating patience. I'm coming to that. And then the last part is respect for sentient beings. This is all by Kempo Kunsang Palden. And the last part, respect for sentient beings, this is the part where Shantideva is showing that sentient beings are equally important for our attainment of Buddhahood than Buddhas, So we should respect sentient beings as much as the Buddhas. But at the moment we are here in the second part, the main part, or the biggest part. So first we talk about object of patience, that's very short. And then we cultivate patience. And there, first we cultivate patience here in terms of when something happens that we don't want. And then later we cultivate patience in terms of not getting what we want. These are our two problems, that either we get what we don't want or we don't get what we want. mean, they look alike problems, you know, and since we perceive it like that, therefore we get angry, and therefore we need patience. So within that, we have these four divisions. So we are patients when something brings suffering to us, and we finished that last time. And now we are here in the second part. Let's make it even. Oops, so close. Pink. So here we are starting today with verse 52, which is like when, especially when we are insulted, you know, or when we experience contempt, you know, then usually our default setting, mentally speaking, is to get angry. And yes, therefore patience is needed. And then afterwards, not today, I guess, since I'm always super slow, we will talk about that we need patience, of course, when our loved ones are treated badly. So if you have a lover, partner, friend, family member, guru, you know, and somebody is treating her or him not so nicely, you know, then you get angry normally, and then yes, the antidote is again patience. Patience is sort of the thing, you know, because that's the name of the chapter. And then the last part here is normally we want our enemy to suffer, and if they experience some good stuff, you know, then we get angry, and therefore patience is needed as well. Okay, but here we are in the pink area today, where we need patience when somebody is insulting us. That's this one. And to look at this here, what does philosophy say? Let's just talk about relative truth. So we have, on the relative level, you know, it seems we can classify everything as mind or matter, you know. Mind is what we perceive as being inside and moving and untouchable and perceiving stuff. And matter is everything outside, you know, that we can perceive. So that is like that could be called like mind-body dualism or substance dualism, because there are two different kinds of substance or stuff, you know. We have all the mental stuff, emotions, thoughts, perception, awareness, meditation, mindfulness. And we have the meta stuff, like, and that applies to all sense objects, you know, even sound, you know, let's put it there. And this is also true here for Buddhists. You know, the mind is a non-physical thing, so it's not matter, but it's thinking. And the body is a physical thing, or matter, you know, like a computer, but it's non-thinking. So that is like a basic Buddhist idea. And then also, and then, of course, different Buddhist schools then have different versions about how real these things are, you know. Are they real as they are, or can, if you cut them down mentally, you know, into atoms or quarks, is there something real to find? But that is not the topic here. But the topic here is today, when we start with verse 52. Sorry, I'm in a screen sharing mode today. It is saying this thing, you know, this mind and matter dualism thing. Since my mind is not physical, in no way can anyone destroy it. But through its being greatly attached to my body, it is caused harm by physical suffering. So if you remember the heading of these verses, it is like if we get insulted, you know, or if we experience contempt, let's say somebody is using yeah, very harsh words. And of course, usually it hurts our mind or our heart, you know, and we even have sayings, I'm sure in other languages too, like in German, we have a saying, you know, that words can be like a sword, you know, that is cutting, or your tongue can be like a sword that can cut your heart, you know, something like that. But here, if we follow just on a relative level, yeah, we follow the example of mind and matter, then words would be more classified as matter from Buddhist point of view, and therefore there's actually not, they really can't harm the mind. And I mean, the mind cannot be harmed by matter. It's another dimension, you know, another world, you know. So it cannot be burned, it cannot be crushed or broken. And therefore there's not really a need to be afraid of harsh words. And it is not really reasonable, you know, to have that fear or to think, yeah, this has harmed my mind. But of course, it is up to us, you know. It is our mental receptivity, you know. If we create a trauma or a harm, you know, if somebody is saying a harsh word, you know, inciting stuff, but the words itself, they can't harm our mind, you know, or heart. But the problem is, as it says here, you know, in the verse, but through its being greatly attached, but through the mind is being greatly attached to my body, the mind is caused harm by physical suffering. So, so even if we have a physical suffering, strictly speaking, we don't need to suffer. Really. But again, it's our mind who's attached to the body, and therefore the mind is suffering if our body is suffering. It is again the same logic that Tilopa, one of my heroes, told Naropa, you know, that yeah, it's the appearances, you know, that bind you. And no, it's not the appearances that bind you, but the attachment to the appearances. So therefore, it is not a physical pain necessarily that is creating mental pain, but because we are attached to our physical form, therefore we are suffering mentally. An example is, for example, the previous Karmapa number 16. I'm sure you know the stories, you know, that he had a big bad cancer, and I mean, every normal human being would suffer a lot, you know, and totally overwhelmed by pain. But he was always so cheerful. It was always more interested, you know, in how the nurses and doctors and so on are, you know. So he was not so attached to his own suffering, even though his body was suffering. But since he doesn't have attachment, therefore, to his body or to nothing, therefore he couldn't suffer, you know, when there was, physical pain. And I thought of one example, and of course I have a picture for that. Today is picture time. Look at this girl. Sadness is breaking your iPhone screen again. I'm sure that also works with my Samsung. So my idea here is, if you let's say we are this girl and we are going to the Apple store and we look at all the iPhones, and we are just looking and not buying anything yet, you know. We are just looking, and so therefore we don't have attachment to the iPhones that are there, you know. And then if somebody is touching it or licking it or breaking it, then we are not suffering at all. It's not our phone, you know, so we don't care at all. But once sort of the money has been given, you know, to the Apple king, And it's our iPhone, once we get attached to it, and then when it's not working, or if somebody is touching it or breaking it, then sadness is coming, then suffering is coming. So it's like Tilopa Naropa thing, so the broken iPhone itself is not the problem, but our attachment to it. And that makes us suffer, or that makes this little girl look so unhappy. Especially if it's happening again, but that is not so much the point here. Yeah, and so this is definitely applicable to everything. But here Shantideva is using that logic mainly to our body, so or to our ears, when we hear unpleasant words, or physically if somebody is, I don't know, kicking our what do people kick, our thigh? I don't know. Doesn't matter. So then our body or is maybe harmed, but still it is up to our mind how we then receive those things, or how we save them in our mental consciousness, how we save that experience, if we can label it, oh, it's just an experience, just a sensation, or we can label it as trauma, or he or she was mean to me. And then the more often we save that into our consciousness like that, then the more often we will perceive that, or more likely than we will perceive that other person as an enemy. So let's just, we can discuss soon, but let's do another verse, because they're a little bit in the same vein here. 53. Since direct, harsh speech and unpleasant words do not cause any harm to my body and not to the mind, why, mind, do you become so angry? Yeah, it's very similar, so it doesn't matter what somebody is saying to us. Actually, there is not necessarily that has to be a traumatic. It's very easy, if somebody maybe is using like very bad and harsh Spanish words to me, it's okay, because I'm not really understanding them, so I don't mind so much. But if somebody is using a language that I really understand, then it makes a bigger difference, how I feel. So so therefore that shows, that it's not the thing itself, but it's how we conceptualize it, or how we understand it. And so if it's not harming our body, if somebody is saying bad things to us, then it cannot harm our mind. And therefore, Shantideva is asking, why, mind, do you become so angry? We know that from Shantideva, right? He's always talking to himself. I think that's a good sign of a practitioner to always look inside and not pointing fingers at others. And therefore, if something like that happens, and if we don't have so much, so if somebody's insulting us and we don't have so much tools to work with that, then at least we can try what Shantideva is asking us in the 5th chapter, to be a log of wood, like just being just being there, not doing much, not reacting with body, speech, and mind, and not doing anything that could escalate it. And if we are a little bit trained, then of course we can create mindfulness. We can apply mindfulness or awareness and patience, and then maybe at least we can slow down our rising anger, or we can maybe even don't identify with it, and then we are not really getting angry. Yeah, or like Dzogchen Ponlop Rinpoche is saying, we can create like a mental gap in our mind, between us and the negative emotion, and then things become more workable. Okay, I think that these two verses are sort of how Shantideva starts off that topic, and then in the next verses there are some doubts that we or others might have on that topic. But let's see, do you guys already have doubts or complaints? Okay.
One question.
Yes, Valerie?
So like once we die, the body just becomes like a corpse, and the consciousness or the mind that continues, right? And when we say the mind body in this context, can we say that it's like almost like integrated, and it's like working like as a function, like completely together, or the body technically also has a mind of its own without the mind or the mind really coming into the picture?
You mean there's a body, mind, intermind?
Body, mind, like the body, mind, and the mind. Like the body has a mind of its own. Because I'm coming from the context of where I don't want to confuse and like kind of distinguish of what we are doing here and what I'm learning in the somatic psychotherapy parlance, where they say the body has a mind of its own. So I just wanted to understand is like, how does it, like, can we clarify this?
Yeah, I think here in this sutra context, it is more like a very strict separation, and thanks to that separation, as you said, when we die, it's only the body that is dying and rotting and becoming earth or whatever, but the mind is deathless and is continuing, and then is manifesting another body, so another rebirth. But then if we go to Vajrayana stuff, which Shantideva is not teaching here, then there's then different levels of mind and body. Then also there's a more subtle level of body and also more subtle level of mind. And on the subtle level, these two are not so separatable. So, and like Dzogchen Rinpoche is teaching on that also, that this is sort of the level, the subtle mind body level where trauma and stuff was stored, and yeah, so therefore from Vajrayana point of view, that what you said I think is more compatible to that there's something like that. But nevertheless, if you die, this subtle body mind or mind body is also leaving the body, it's not staying with the corpse. And then in the bardo you also have like a subtle bardo body, but it's mental. But here it's really like the picture from Cartesian dualism, but I showed earlier. So Shantideva is mainly basing on a complete. They are totally two different substances that are sort of connected during lifetime, but then they are separable because they are of different substance.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Marlene, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to join what you just said before, Pallavi. It's a question which is really occupying me a lot. My husband died 2 years ago, And in these last 2 years, he was just present very often through signs, through mentally speaking. And there are so many things that are just touchable. I can see them, I saw them, and I wonder, where is he? I mean, he's no more here. He died 2 years ago. Where is he? And it's not my imagination, it's just not.
What to say? I mean, most likely he is reborn somewhere, you know? I mean, that would be the first answer, I guess, because generally it's said the bardo lasts like 49 days and then something happens, like a rebirth happens. I don't really believe that it's that strict. Like lifespan is also like fluctuating. I mean, we are not all living 75 years.
Yeah, and there is no time and no place on the other side. So time doesn't play any role.
And there is no other side even.
Yeah.
No, but that time span is given from human perspective. Anyway, but you're right. Since there is no physical thing, there's also not really a location, and therefore there are not those reference points, you know, like spatial time dimensions. But that's really a difficult question. I mean, there are people who are not having a body and then they remain like a ghost, sort of. That's what Vajrayana is saying, and until they find a suitable body. But then most of the beings, they are born in whatever body is in accordance to their karmic tendencies. So if he would be a ghost, then it would be very easy to explain how you do it, how you perceive it. But I think I heard these things, even if they have a normal rebirth, then still with this karmic connection, those things can happen. But I really can't remember how that was explained. It of course, it also has a lot. Yeah, really, it has a lot to do with you, the connection between you both. You know, like I'm. If I would be in the same room, maybe I wouldn't even perceive it. But because you have been very close, or still are very close, then you can perceive stuff, and that is actually happening. But then, and I'm not talking about you, but then of course people also can imagine things, you know, or can interpret things as being from a person, like the deceased husband, for example, but it's not actually caused by him, you know. It's just we perceive it like that. I mean, that can always be the case, you know. Like it could be the truth, and sometimes maybe it's also the hope, you know, or the, I don't know. I think that's all I have to say to that. Please say something if you want.
Yeah, no, my question is if he is in a kind of bardo still, or how long, how huge is the bardo, as there is no time. Does he feel well there? It's very strange. I never thought of that, and it happens, and I'm really, it's lovely, and it's somehow strange.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing is, of course, from Mahayana point of view, it's not so much that we need to know the details, where, how, when, and why he is where he is now, but our main aim is that he's not suffering, you know, but that he is like free of hope and fear, and has a strong, brave mind, and a good heart, you know. So and those things we can, and for those qualities or those mental states, we can dedicate, of course, our merit, and we can do prayers, and we can do Tonglen.
Yeah, this I do, and then he comes.
Yeah, but if,
okay,
but if that is your perception, then that's it. But that's, I'm not in a position to know what is exactly happening there. But the main thing is, yeah, do your best, you know, to guide him or to give him, share with him or inspire him or whatever, you know. In the end, that is always the only thing that matters, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a
Thank you.
quarter kind of satisfying answer only. Sorry. Okay, then. Emilia.
Well, picking on what Marlene was talking about, and also what I sent you on the email, is I think all of these kind of different experiences, what Marlene is saying in relation to her husband, I had some quite different ones in relation to my mom before she died. But anyhow, it going back to how solid is solid, you know, because even the body or everything around, and I've been like, it seems like obsessing about looking, and it's like, I think this stuff can just dissolve. It's not really here. The boundaries, it is as really, you know, this Hollywood people who create the whole scenario stuff. And when you watch the movie, you think it's all really there, but it's not. But then, which means the solid boundaries, they don't really exist. Because if anything solid existed at all, emptiness would just would be a contradiction. It can't. At every moment by moment, which also, well, where is time? Where is the minimum dimension of time? Because if it stops and the thing is just exists even for a millisecond or whatever, unchanging, this is a contradiction to emptiness. So I think the stuff is just through what is it, billions and billions of lives, we just create the habituation, and we look and we are perceiving all the stuff as physical, including the body. I mean, it makes you wonder what is it, you know, Rinpoche talks about life and dying, and that is not really dying, is not really dying. And it's, maybe it comes to a point where one even decides if they are going to die or not, because this is not really how we perceive it. I don't know. It just seems that, again, it's so fluidic, it's so loose, that when Marlene talks, is sharing with us something so personal of like having kind of contact with her husband, but are there really boundaries? You know, it is all on our perception and discrimination. But it seems that is everything there. It's just everything, absolutely everything, all realms, but there's these definitions and explanations because they help with kind of navigating and understanding. But you know what I mean?
Maybe.
I entirely understand you, and I accompanied him during all the last months. I was day and night with him, and in that time, really, what you were just saying, this thinking was just dissolved. I was living moment per moment, and I didn't think of good, of bad, I was just there. And it was somehow eternity in the present. It was very strange. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
I thank you.
And Emilia, the other things you said, I mean, this mind-body dualism, that is that is what Shantideva is using here as a model. And I'm not saying he's believing in it, you know, but he is using it on the relative level because it appears to us like that, you know, that body is different from mind, you know. And but of course, you can have also monoism, you know, you can also have this, you know. So the dualism here on the right side, this is what we talked about, you know, we have mind on one side and matter on the other side. But then you can have also monoism and say that everything is God and manifestation of God, you know. Or then in the Shittamatra school, you say everything is mind and manifestation of mind. Even the body, you know, is produced by the mind. It's just an appearance of mind. And then you can also have maybe a more classical scientific point of view that everything is matter and mind is only a byproduct of matter, you know. But that is more like when we are going now to a little bit more on the absolute ultimate analysis kind of perspective, you know, where we look what is withstanding our analysis. But at this point here, Shantideva is not doing it, but just accepting what cowboys would perceive, you know, mind is inside my body and outside is material world, and that's it.
But when you say, Arne, when you mention that mind continues, and now you mention Chittamatra, that's the mind-only school, isn't it? But then how does that relate?
Yeah, sorry?
How does that relate to Madhyamika?
No, I'm just saying here on the relative level, we are only talking relative level, and there we have a mental continuum, definitely. I'm aware now, and I'm aware now, and I'm aware now, and now, and between all these moments of awareness, there's a continuous stream, which is neither same nor different from the previous moment. So, and the previous moment is causing this moment, and this moment is causing the next moment. So on the relative level, that's just the stream or continuity of mind.
Okay, I'm with you.
And with that, on that level, we talk about rebirth, and on that level, we talk about karma leaving imprints in it, and therefore it's carrying and flowing like a river to the next life. From far away, it looks like the same. Oh, it's the same mind, but of course, it's like a river. You know, it's never the same. Yeah, but on that relative, we're just on that relative level here. And Madhyamikas agree on that on the relative level. But on the absolute level, you don't have rebirth even, you know, you don't have death, you don't have mind, you don't have matter, like truly existent.
Okay, yeah, great. I got it.
Okay, let's look a little bit more into Shantideva. Okay, now here the opponent, but that could always be our own doubt, you know, when we hear what Shantideva just have said, then we might think, yeah, we want, okay, so now there come different kinds of justification that we might come up with in order to justify that it is okay to be angry if somebody is insulting us. And really, these are like super weird logics, you know, that our mind can come up with. And so Shantideva is presenting them here. No, wait, 40, yeah, 54. So our attempt to justify our anger is because others will dislike me. So let's say, okay, I'm just seeing Danielle here. I will use you as the bad one today. No, don't worry, it's not so bad. But let's say she's spreading some rumor, you know, about me. You know, that's all. You know, or maybe she is saying something, yeah, negative about me to somebody. You know, and then if I try to be a practitioner here of patience, you know, then yes, I have listened to Shantideva and therefore understand. Okay, if she's spreading rumor to all of you guys, you know, then that is not really harming my body and mind per se, you know. But if I don't react to that rumor, then you, all of you, because you heard what Danielle was saying, you all will lose respect in me, and you might start disliking me. So, and therefore we justify, okay, to prevent that, you know, that you guys dislike me and lose respect. Therefore, it is totally okay to be angry. Then Shantideva is answering to that. But this is not, yes, but since it will not devour me either in this or in another life. So if for example, you guys dislike me, you know, but that doesn't really, like, again, will not destroy my physical body now, or also not my mind, neither in this life nor in future lives, actually, you know. So therefore, why do I not want this dislike? So why do I get angry when all of you dislike me just because Danielle was saying something bad about me? And the problem, and Shantideva is in the commentaries, he's sort of saying the problem is, yeah, we react angrily normally about that, and then we lose our mental peace, and we do stupid things, and therefore it is good not to do that, but be patient and maybe react a little bit more wisely, and by that maybe we can even do something good out of that situation. But yeah, so that is his first advice, but then we might have another doubt, you know. Yeah, maybe just continue with that. Because here then in 55, then we might have another doubt. So it's the same situation, yeah? So Daniela, sorry, is saying something bad about me, spreading some rumors. And then all you others, you hear that, and you believe her. And then, yeah, my reputation is ruined. Then let's say let's say my livelihood is based on doing this Bodhisattva classes, you know, and then if you guys are then losing faith or respect in me, then we will not come to the classes anymore, and then you know, then I'm not earning money anymore, and so on, and therefore my whole life would be ruined, you know, and therefore I could justify, yes, therefore I should be angry, because basically Danielle with her maybe only a little rumor, you know, is making all of you dislike me, lose faith, and therefore my whole life is ruined. And then Shantideva is saying that the problem is, of course, that I'm angry then, you know, with Danielle, for example, in that example. That is the problem, you know, not actually what she did. The idea is, even if I don't like, here the second line, even if I don't want this, even if I don't like that she is spreading a rumor, then there are two reflections I can do. I shall have to leave my worldly gains behind, you know. So sooner or later I have to die anyway. I will, yeah, leave all these goods or possessions behind that I got from you guys, you know. And therefore, yeah, if I have to leave it anyway behind, then therefore it's not a big deal, you know, the worldly gains, and that you respect me and have faith in me, all that is quite meaningless. So therefore, why worry about it? That is the idea here of the third line. And then the fourth line, a little bit archaic translation here with evil. The main thing is what I mentioned earlier already. It's not actually that Danielle is saying some rumor, but the main thing is that I am getting angry, and I'm getting angry with her maybe, or Yeah, and then I do kind of stupid things, and so these stupid things, based on anger, for example, and I do stupid things like negative karma, then these things I take with me. The first logic was I have to leave all my worldly gains behind, my possession, position, fame, reputation. So this I have to leave behind when I die, but the results of my anger I will not leave behind, but these I will take with me. You got it? It's the possessions I can't take with me after death, but my anger, klesha, habits, karma, this I will take with me. So therefore, even if Daniel's rumor makes all of you dislike me and not come to the classes here anymore, and even spread that rumor, and by that maybe some material gains, like third line, are diminished, that's fine, because I can't take them anyway with me. And secondly, the fourth line, if I react angrily about it, then I will suffer, because I will have to suffer this karmic consequences now or in the future life. And therefore, the moral of the story is basically, it's more important to be patient and to behave sort of properly and not angrily than, getting what I want, Okay, I just continue because the next verse is also about that. Between that is actually another doubt, which is similar to what I've said already. So let's say Daniel was spreading rumor. You all don't like me anymore, and that is my only thing that I do, the Bodhicaryavatara classes, and therefore, maybe I don't get any support, and I will get depressed because you don't like me, and therefore, yes, maybe therefore my whole life is endangered, my mental health and my physical health, and therefore, yes, I could still think. It is justified to be angry with Danielle because she started that rumor, and so therefore it is good to be angry. But Shantideva is saying no, it is not better than being angry, like having this wicked life that is full of negative emotions. Better than having like a long life that is full of negative emotions. It is actually better to die today. Okay, that's a big statement. It's also said in the sutra, wait, I have some quote here. Anything that we do with our six senses, with attachment, looking, hearing, tasting, thinking, etc., with attachment, all of that is wrong livelihood. And the question is also in a saying, what is better? A long negative life or death today? The answer is death today is better. So that is it's a dark thought, but it's of course, don't think that we should kill people who lead a negative life, or that if we have a negative day that we should commit suicide. Of course not. But like long-term wise, if we speak like in the long term, of course, if from now on I will only like do negative actions, harm others, do nothing positive, that is meant, like if I really create so much suffering for others, and by that, of course, karmically, I create so much suffering for myself, that is not worth it, So that is not, I should not do it. Then it would even save others and myself if I would die, of course, we know Shantideva. He is always a little bit provocative and to bring across his point. Marlene, just a moment. I will just continue this verse. And then, but yeah, he wants us mainly to understand, how destructive our anger is and how, yeah, that's it, how destructive our anger is towards others, that they are suffering and that we will suffer in the future. And then we might, I'm not sharing anymore, sorry. So guys, please don't kill yourself, yeah? Then the next one here is, for even if people like me should live a long life, there will always be the suffering of death. So we of course will say, yeah, but I want to live long and not die now. And then that is sort of the answer of Shantideva. He is saying, so death and the suffering of death will come anyway, that is for certain, that is a given. I mean, maybe the degree of suffering during the time of death will of course vary, but death itself is certain. And that will happen no matter how long we have lived, or no matter how rich we are, or how famous we are, what position we have. And we know also from the Kadampa teachings that, that we will, what do they say? Death is certain, and then the time of death is uncertain, and at the time of death, only the Dharma helps us. So in other words, the good position, the possessions and so on, they can't stop the death. Of course, if you need money to pay the doctor, maybe then, yes, it can prolong your life, if you have the money, but ultimately no king, or no, so no powerful person and no rich person can forever stop death, that will come. And of course, we can't take anything with us of all the things that we have accumulated, like possession and so on. Right. Here, I mean, that is, you see those things often on Facebook, right? So we cannot take our money and so on, our possession or fame. But the only thing is what we carry with us is our habits, let's say, or karma. And also in the commentaries, it says, if you lead a negative life, then normally the commentaries, they say, the suffering during death will be more, stronger and more intense. And of course, if we have had some exposures to Dharma teachings, for example, then we will have a lot of regret. And I think Milarepa said that regret at that time is really so painful, if we die and see, how much we could have done, but how little we did do. So, so therefore, if we focus on that, then it's if we remember that, I mean, then it's also good to live like a virtuous life and are not only attached to possession, position, and so on, because the attachment to possession or position, fame, and so on is will make us sometimes angry, will also make us hurt others or cheat others, will make us jealous and so on. So therefore we should not have such a negative life, because it will only make us suffer and others too. And hence again, the commentaries say the same thing, it's better to die now than to lead a very negative life. But of course, we as as humans, I guess, but especially Buddhists, we know that everything is changing, and therefore, even if I'm having a very negative life now, or maybe even the next 5 years, I can still change, so that is always possible. But that is not written in the commentaries, but that is obvious, right, from other Buddhist teachings, that we should never give up ourselves, or give up about others. I don't know. But we know they can always change for the better. Okay, I just continued a little bit more there, because there's a nice story, from Milarepa when he was in the mountains. It is related to that. There was this hunter who was coming, and I also have a picture of that. Can you see that? I hope you only see that picture. So you see Milarepa's here, there's a hunter to the lower left, and there is a dog and a deer next to Milarepa. Here's the dog and there's the deer. And so the hunter had the name Shirava Gömpo Dorje, and so he had this dog, and they were chasing a deer, and of course wanted to kill it. And the deer arrived first at Milarepa, full of fear, and looking for refuge or shelter, and then because of Milarepa's compassion or bodhicitta, the mind of the deer was calmed, and so the deer was sitting here on the picture to the left side of Milarepa. And was like feeling protected there, and the dog was coming closer, and then was seeing that, was also surprised, and but then also again thanks to Milarepa's compassion and whatever powers that he has, the dog's mind also calmed down, and then also was sitting next to Milarepa, and then at some point, then the hunter, Shirava Gömpo Dorje, arrived, and he was, of course, surprised, that there's this dog and deer were sitting so closely next to each other, because the dog was usually a very good hunting dog, was always getting the prey and so on. And but then also thanks to Milarepa's presence, the mind of the hunter was calmed down a little bit. And especially also because Milarepa was singing this following song, which I will not sing for you, but I will read it for you and show it to you. And you will soon get why it's fitting here to the story, what Shantideva is talking about. So, mighty Lord Siddhas, I supplicate you, grant your blessing that all 5 poisons dissolve. So he's addressing the hunter now. You have got a man's body, but an ogre face, because he was coming so angrily, Ogre-faced men, listen to Mila's song. A precious human body is so rare, it is taught. But when I see one like you, there's nothing rare at all. With the form of an ogre, you do so much wrong. You scoff at the suffering of the lower realms. You may fulfill your desires in this life alone, but negative deeds won't bring you what you want. Give up inner attachment and you will gain siddhi. Taming outer appearances will never work. Yes, Tilopa said that too. Now is the time to tame your mind. Killing this deer will not satiate you. Try to tame outer enemies and they only increase. Tame your inner mind stream and be free of foes, instead of wasting your life doing negative things. Practice genuine Dharma, how great that would be. I will teach you Lord Naropa's 6 Dharmas to you, the 6 Naropas, yogas of Naropa, and I will teach you the practice of Mahamudra. Yeah, so in the commentaries to that song, it is also said, that Milarepa is showing, that if you really do this if you have this negative mind state, like this hunter and negative actions, yeah, you create so much suffering and to yourself in the future and to other beings around you now. So therefore, it's really a big waste of precious potential. So that was a little bit long. And I just see Jon was writing something. But if you'd stop the result of anger by dying, you would take the karma that caused it with you in death, and that would really be no solution, is it? Yes. Are you talking about the extreme? If I would say I'm very angry and therefore I commit suicide, then of course my habit of anger would continue.
No, just by you have committed these angry deeds caused by anger, and then for one reason or other, but not by suicide, you die. You just die. But then the karma which had caused the deeds caused by anger will go with you. So that would on sich be no solution, I think.
Yes. Therefore, as Buddhists, we want a long life in the sense that since we assume that we do good things, and for example, that we apply the teachings to work on our anger and develop more patience. And since there's, at least in my case, there's a lot to do, so therefore a long life would be really precious for me, Yeah, because all these habits of having specific kind of kleshas and all the karma that has been accumulated through expressing these kleshas, yeah, they will continue. So therefore, the longer time I have to apply the tools that I learned from the Dharma, and then work with my mind, maybe purify the negative karma, transform or break the habits, yeah, the better it is. Yeah, so because Buddhists are not fatalistic. Sorry?
Yeah, so then why is it a sort of advantage why is it advised at all that better to die than live an angry life?
I know it's a strong statement, but I'm just a messenger here, and since I'm only the messenger, I can also have my own opinion. And this is the classic example is of course Hitler. If I think if we use Hitler, I think it would have been better for him and millions of others if he would have had a short life, right? Yeah, so in that sense, I would see it, because he has zero interest to change for the better, and he is like one-pointedly focusing on destroying his life and future lives and others' lives. But of course, you're right. Let's say I would have killed him maybe when he was 30, then. Yes, I would have saved so many lives, and I think it would be better. But he might still have that totally mean mentality, so that might continue and that might manifest in next lives, So therefore, I don't know, but I wouldn't say it would. Yeah, but I would have killed him, if I would have the chance, definitely. I'm always a fan of Sophie Scholl, and those heroes, who had that resistance. And I think it would, also with compassion, you should do it, of course, for Hitler himself. But then really to teach him, I think Khyentse Rinpoche once said he would like to find Hitler's reincarnation and Saddam Hussein's, and put them together in his monastery and then train them as a child, Then that would be really good, Then it would be good if I would have killed Hitler before he did all the negative things. But he's still full of these negative tendencies. But then Khyentse Rinpoche is getting the tulku, or the tulku, of course, reincarnation, and then training him and then preventing that the Hitler rebirth is doing some negative stuff. but me as a human being, I think, yeah, if you take that extreme example of Hitler, yes, I think with Bodhisattva, I could come to the conclusion it's better to kill him for his sake and for Jewish and so many millions of others' sake.
But he would not have been reborn in the human realm. I mean,
yeah.
He would remain for aeons somewhere deep, 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 deep. Oh.
No, I'm saying that I killed Hitler before he started the war.
Oh, okay.
You know, I don't. There's one movie. What is it called with Tom Hanks? Where they see crimes before they happen. Do you remember that?
No.
So there are some beings who can foresee that some Minority Report.
Clairvoyant.
It's not Tom Hanks. It's Tom Cruise, Minority Report. So there.
Yeah.
So they have some vision, some very funny beings, spiritual beings. Let's say they are bathing in milk, and they see something that let's say I will do a crime, you know, and then. Before I can do the crime, let's say shout at Danielle because he was spreading the rumor, you know, then somebody, the police is catching me before I do the crime. So, and then the question is, yeah, what to do with me, you know? I didn't do anything, actually. I'm innocent still because I was caught before doing the negative action. So that is a nice experiment for the mind. But still, from Buddhist point of view, I have the potential to do negative actions, like let's use Hitler again, you know. So even though I killed him before he did the negative actions, yeah, there's still a lot of negativity in him. And I think, Marlene, you said it, it could be still that this is ripening and he's coming to hell just because of that, without doing this known negative actions as a Hitler. But anyway, Khyentse Rinpoche or some other masters, maybe they can visit still that rebirth, wherever that is, even in hell realm, you know, and then help him or her there. But in that extreme example of Hitler, yeah, I think it would have been good to kill him as early as possible. I don't know what kind of Buddhist session this is. But it's okay, like in the Jakarta stories, you know, all these examples, you know, like on the boat, 500 people, and one person wanted to kill these 500, I think even arhats, and then Bodhisattva, like Buddha in his previous life, decided to kill the captain to save kill the potential murderer in order to save these 500 arhats, knowing that it's a bad action, knowing that he will have the karmic result of having killed somebody, but out of compassion to all of those being involved, he did it and didn't care about his own suffering. So therefore, yeah, I would, of course, suffer the karmic results of killing somebody, yes. But from that story point of view, with the boat, yeah, I would, still the motivation would be hopefully better than my negative action. And in the end, the motivation is more important. And I think most people see it like that. I mean, so many people, I mean, everybody who is sane is celebrating Sophie Scholl, for example, you know, the resistance movement. Okay. Then, now the next verses are a little bit not so controversial, I think. 57. Oh, is there Milarepa here on my screen? Suppose someone, so the idea is, yeah, I will just read. Suppose someone should awaken from a dream in which he experienced 100 years of happiness, and suppose another should awaken from a dream in which he experienced just one moment of happiness. Then for both of these people who have awoken, that happiness will never return. Similarly, whether my life has been long or short, at the time of death, it will be finished like this. So if I look at my life, you know, it doesn't matter if I live 100 years Oh no, maybe other way around. It doesn't matter if I have 100 years of happiness or only one moment of happiness. Oh, sorry, again. Let's assume I'm dreaming. That's how it starts. So tonight I'm dreaming, Thursday to Friday. So that was one night of dream, and maybe I managed to sleep 7 hours. So within that 7 hours, I have a dream, and that dream could be perceived from my subjective dreaming point of view as lasting 100 years, or it could, or the happiness in the dream, or it could be just a moment of happiness that I dream of. But then the point is, no matter how long my happiness have been in my dream this night, tomorrow morning when I wake up, that happiness, quote unquote, is gone. And will not return, still quote unquote, because of course it has never been there, really. But definitely it will not continue, that is the main point here. It will not continue after I wake up. Maybe I can, if it was a wonderful dream, because I met a person I like very much, maybe then even during the next day, I'm still happy about it, and it can still shape my my day, but at some point that will also fade away. But also there are stories, and Jon and Pallavi might know who am I talking about. Somebody whom we adore, he said also that he was dreaming of a girl and then he was falling in love with her in the dream, and that actually then continued in his awakened state, anyway, but the idea is normally so that this happiness. So I'm just pointing out exceptions, but the rule is the happiness that we have in our dream, no matter how long it was, it will not last next day. And likewise, also in even though we prefer like a long happy life, but if we but actually the thing that the worldly pleasures that we have because of possessions and so on, all these conditioned pleasures, they will not really last and will not really have a imprint, so I mean, since I think Emilia earlier talked about Madhyamika, the idea is if something is an illusion, delusion, like a dream, it doesn't matter if it's long or short, And yeah, from Madhyamika point of view, of course, all this life is a delusion, or the worldly things that we attain or focus on, they are all a delusion and very futile. But if we spend our life with running after these futile, illusion-like, worldly aims, yeah, then that is again a waste of time. And yeah, it has no substance, not only because it's illusionary on the more from the absolute point of view, but since even on the relative level, these worldly things, they will not last, they are not reliable sources of happiness. And yeah, we create many negative emotions maybe to get them. Yeah, and then therefore, yes, of course, the advice is don't do that. But practice the Dharma, basically, that is, of course, the advice. And then if we do that, then a long life is really precious. What I said earlier, if I really have the tools to work on my mind, and if I really apply them, then the longer, the better. And that is like, again, a little bit Vajrayana, like that. For that we have long life practices, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the life is long, but that the really essentially good moments are long. For example, the time that I apply the antidotes, the time that I work on my mind. the time that I can rest in the nature of mind, that these are long, that is what we are aiming at. We are not aiming at, my favorite TV show has many seasons and long episodes, even though I'm always happy about these things, but all the long life practices are always meant to that the moment that the time is long for those things that bring us closer to the truth, Yeah. Okay, any debate on anything so far?
Arne and everyone else, just recently there is research on neuroplasticity that we can, but in relation to the brain, just through practices, and you can just change the connections and so on. And I was thinking, I think it's just as a metaphor. This could also, at least for me, apply to everything I'm doing, my actions, body, speech, and mind, and seeing as a kind of a neuroplasticity approach. If I'm creating, putting more weight into connections of being more positive and so on and so forth, rather than the negative ones, to have a shift, and then those connections will be the stronger ones and more strong. And then not only in my approach to all the stuff that I have to deal with, but I think also goes into when you die, and then the choice of where one is going to reincarnate. Because if you start to put a lot of weight into really negative patterns, let's talk in terms of patterns, really negative patterns. Once one dies, well, those patterns, they are like, I'm talking in terms of weights, as if you have like more weights to heavier connections, that they are more pronounced. And then that would, the lower realms situation. That's where the habit is. That's where it's what is permeating that mind. Anyway, I just wanted to share that it's helping me. I mean, now when I see moments of, I don't tend to get like angry or shouting, but I get very frustrated. I get frustrated with things. And then to think, well, what do you want to do with this frustration? Do you want to continue being frustrated and just starting on your neuroplasticity, just putting a lot of weight into frustration is not helpful. So trying to turn it around into, it's just my ego being frustrated because I'm not having the stuff that according to my expectations.
Thank you. Neuroplasticity, I think that's an interesting term. Yeah. Of course, I know it. It's from the Mind and Life conferences. They talk also about it. And I think that is it's just a physical expression, of newly acquired mental pathways, or changed habits. And then if we look at Mahayana schools, from Shita Mantra onwards, also, many sub-schools of Madhyamika accept that, that will also then shape our world, what we perceive, and of course, how we perceive it. So I'm just creating it, but there could be like a cosmoplasticity You know, we create our own world because we change our own habits and way of seeing things, and therefore what we project outside will be changed. That is, yeah, how karma works, as Danielle is here saying. Or if you look at the Shitamacha view, you know, that is how the seeds and the alaya work. You know, they manifest outside as outer appearance. And of course, if you change the that what is projected, I mean, no, if you change the slide or the movie, you know, the seeds in your mind, you know, then what is projected outside will also change. So therefore there's a plasticity in everything, like everything is changeable. I'm sure you have experienced that, but I really, for me, it worked very often. You know, if I'm really in a fight with somebody, and just if I change my inner perception of him or her, and like really in secret, just do my Tonglen or Lojong with him or her, and change my habits, you know, and my perception of him, and feeling more love. What?
Perspective.
Yeah, and feeling more love and compassion, empathy with him or her, he or she will change also, you know. I perceive him or her already differently, but yeah, he or she will also change. So it's like a persona plasticity or something. I'm changing him or her and myself also. And I think that is also the only way how we can explain how prayers work, you know. Otherwise it's really difficult to say, you know. I'm sitting here and Jon is sitting in Netherlands, you know, and I'm sending him my prayers, you know, may he not get COVID, you know. How can that work, you know? But I think if Jon and I have like a good karmic connection, then and I'm getting more and more used to seeing him like that. That will have an influence, you know, on others, you know.
But then is an influence. It can be an influence in terms of the plasticity. But I think when Rinpoche and other teachers, when they talk about we're all connected, at least I feel that there is really a full connection, even if we feel disconnected, but we are connected. So sending light and sending love is gonna get there. I don't think it's just a placebo. I think can actually, personally, I think it can actually happen.
Yes, and
so when you were talking about sending through Tonglen or wishing someone to be happy and things like that, I think it's really, there is some movement there somehow, not only on my plasticity, what I'm how I'm changing. I'm calling connections because it's more concrete, at least for me to think. But yeah, I think it's really it works.
It works even to the other side, as I explained.
Yeah. You mean the deaf people? Yeah, but that really depends on the connection. For example, I think with Jon was my example. Yeah, the better our connection, the more I think he can influence me, and the more I can influence him also, you know, and the more I'm also feeling his prayers, or let's say, or he is feeling my prayers, you know, if we have like a good connection, which so far I believe we have. And so therefore, yeah, and of course, physical proximity helps. So if we are in the same room, then of course, his way of seeing things, or his seeds of the alaya that manifest, you know, there can be like an interplay, you know, with my seeds and his seeds. So we have a common shared reality of things, you know. I mean, that is called collective karma usually, you know. And there's a resonance, you know, between two people then. I'm talking totally on a Platonic way, just that just happens, it's just if there's a good connection, that where there is openness or respect to each other, then that can happen. But that is a big topic, intersubjective reality, you can Google that. That is so interesting. I think we sort of managed to go through very few verses, but at least something. Shall we stop, maybe? Maybe we end with a dedication.
So before we go,
Yes.
I was getting moved by the killing Hitler and the sending prayers thing, right? And wanting to bring it back home to the practice of patience and minding one's own mind.
Yeah.
Minding one's own mind, because isn't that the field where the difference will be made? I understand that these are examples that are meant to shake us up, which it's doing, it's shaking me up, okay? And I want to bring it back to the patience part.
Yes. I mean, yes, of course, the main thing of Shantideva is always, that's why he's talking to his own mind so often, oh, my mind, why are you doing this? So, and I don't even think he means it, because he is a great being and he's not doing the mistakes that he's pretending to do. So therefore, it's like a very indirect instruction to us to look to our own mind and see, Arne, why are you still angry? Just because of this or that. So yeah, that is definitely in mind training the biggest thing. But then on the other hand, since we're in the 6th chapter, we have taken the Bodhisattva vow in the 3rd chapter, and therefore our whole path is aimed to relieve other sentient beings from suffering and confusion, right? And so therefore there also needs to be actions that are hopefully well informed by our Bodhisattva, and therefore yes, we have to go out and do stuff. It could be wrong, but and we interfere maybe with things that we don't understand what is happening, but we do our best, sort of. Like today I had a walk and there was like a crow always trying to find the rabbit hole, and there were kids of rabbits, and the rabbit was always trying to distract the crow, running far away. But then I noticed that when the crow came to a specific spot, the rabbit ran there, so then I noticed, okay, there are the kids. And then, yeah, I thought, even though it's nature, let's interfere, So I was going to the rabbit hole and was just standing there, not doing much. But then the crow was not coming there at all, and the rabbit could do his distraction thing. I don't know if that was good or bad in the long run, but in the moment it was the best I could think of, Bye-bye, Andrena. Get better. And yeah, Danielle. So yes, working on my mind for me is the also for Maitreya and other people, masters or Buddhas who define bodhicitta, working on my mind is more like the tool, to be more helpful for others. Yeah, and let's not wait to help others until we become Buddhas, with our limited compassion, wisdom, and power or abilities or skills. I think we can start now already. And of course, my problem with the Hitler example is I would not have foreseen that Hitler would kill so many people. So therefore, I wouldn't have killed him. before he did something negative, you know, because my wisdom is lacking, of course, yeah. And then, even though let's assume it would be the right thing even to kill him in the middle of the war, maybe I would be afraid too much, you know, and cling too much to my life and then not do it. And because I take myself more important than 1 million of Jews. And that is sad, you know. So therefore, I need more mind training there, you know, to just go by numbers, you know, and see. 1 million is much more than one Arne, and for that I need mind training also, you know, to be less self-centered and have a bigger vision, or a bigger heart.
Thanks so much. That was it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I have, yes, yeah, dedication prayers even. Da-da-dum. By this merit, having attained omniscience, defeated the enemy of wrongdoing, may I free all beings from the ocean of existence, with its tumultuous waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Just as the heroic Manjushri who knows all, or everything as it is, and as Samantabhadras likewise did too, just so to follow all of them and train myself, I perfectly dedicate these meritorious actions. May the precious Supreme Bodhisattva arise in those in whom it has not arisen. Having arisen, may it not diminish, but ever expand more and more. As long as space remains and as long as the world remains, may we too remain to elevate the suffering of the world. May we in each and every lifetime carry the weight of Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings, and if we cannot bear that weight, at the very least, may we be born with the burden of thinking that the Buddha Dharma could wane. Thank you.
Thank you, Arne. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, as usual.
Have a great week.
As usual, it's always so great that you guys are interactive and that we can discuss so.
Oh, I love it.
Without
I
inhibitions.
Really love it.
Thank you.
Take good care.
Thank you.
Ciao. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.